All right, let's talk about AI agents. Have you ever built one, got it running, and then it just crashes? Or worse, it gets stuck in some kind of loop and you wake up to a massive bill? Yeah, it's a huge headache. So today, we're going to get into the solution, how to build a rock-solid, fail-safe engine that actually makes your AI agents dependable.
So what's the deal? Why are these AI agents, which seem so incredibly smart, also so fragile? You'd think they would just work, but that's not what happens in the real world. The answer is actually way simpler than you'd imagine, and it all comes down to a basic misunderstanding of how they operate.
And that really gets to the heart of it, right? Agents aren't magic. We have to peek under the hood to see what's really going on and find their weak spot. See, an agent isn't some single brilliant mind. It's a process, and it's that process that we need to make bulletproof. Now this is the key difference right here. Think about it. When you use a tool like ChatGPT, you're usually making one single call to the model and you get one response back. Simple enough. But an agent, oh man, to finish just one task, it might need to call that same model dozens, maybe even hundreds of times. And every single one of those calls is like another roll of the dice, another chance for things to go completely wrong.
Okay, so if failure is pretty much guaranteed to happen, what does it actually look like? Well, the good news is, it's not just random chaos. We can actually group all this trouble into three main categories. These are the three specific, predictable failures that you will run into sooner or later.
First up, rate limits. This is basically the API provider just putting up a hand and saying, "Whoa, buddy, slow down. You're hitting me with requests way too fast." Next, you've got timeouts. This happens when the network is sluggish or the server is just really busy. Your agent is left hanging. And finally, you have just random API errors, little hiccups on the server's end that have absolutely nothing to do with your code. Any of these can bring your agent to a screeching halt.
So this is where we get smart. This is where we stop just hoping for the best and actually engineer a real solution. What we're going to do is build a reliability layer, a set of smart guardrails that sits between our agent's brain and the model it's talking to. We call this the engine.
So how does this engine actually keep you safe? Well, it's got these 4 built-in safety nets. If it hits one of those random API errors, it automatically retries the call. If it hits a rate limit, it's smart enough to just take a break. It sleeps for a second to slow down. It also has a timeout, so your agent never gets stuck waiting forever. And most importantly, it has a request budget. This is your kill switch, the hard stop that prevents those runaway bills.
Now, I really want to zoom in on that last one, the request budget, because honestly, this is the most critical safety feature in the entire system. It's the one thing that will absolutely save you from a total disaster. And this really speaks to the core philosophy here. Look, it is always better for your agent to just stop working and give you a clear error message than for it to quietly burn through all of your credits while you're not looking. This idea is called safe failure.
Let's be really clear what we mean by safe failure. It sounds like a bad thing, but it's actually a feature, not a bug. It's you, the developer, deciding up front what the absolute breaking point is. So when the agent hits that wall, it just stops cleanly and tells you exactly what happened. No more nasty surprises on your bill.
And here is the secret sauce. This is the really clever part that makes the budget so powerful. Your budget doesn't just count the calls that work. It counts every single attempt, and that includes the automatic retries. Now, why is that so important? Because that's what prevents your agent from getting stuck on an error and retrying forever, draining your entire account. The budget is your ultimate safety net.
Okay, so this all sounds good in theory, right? But I want you to actually see it work with your own eyes. We're going to do a super simple little experiment that proves how these fail-safes kick in to protect you.
Here's all you have to do. First, set your request budget really, really low. Let's say just 2 calls. Then, write a tiny piece of code that tries to call the model 3 times in a row. Now run it. The first call will work just fine. The second call will also work, but the moment your code tries to make that third call, bam! The engine steps in, blocks it, and gives you a nice, clear error. That's your safe failure in action.
So, by putting this engine in place, you've really solved the #1 problem in building agents: reliability. You've built a foundation you can actually trust not to go off the rails. But that leads us to the next big question, doesn't it? Now that your agent won't crash and burn, how do you actually make it smart? How do you make it genuinely useful? We'll get into that next.